Hi Stephen, how are you?
I'm very well, Richard, and you?
Yeah, good to see you, Stephen. It's been quite a 19 months for everybody, but specifically in education, it's been pretty turbulent, up and down.
Yeah, one of the issues for us has been because we have a lot of international students, and of course, over the last 18 months, a lot of it's been restrictive travel, so they can't travel. So we changed our format to online teaching, which has been very successful. And in fact, it's something we're expanding. But it's nothing better than students being in Oxford. It's really important for them to see what Oxford is really like, to understand about the university, which is where they want to be going, one of the leading universities here and in London. And they can actually see the realities. Whereas online, it's very different. From teaching point of view, because our teaching is mainly one-to-one in very small groups, the online is not that much different because it's still quite focused on the individual. So that doesn't change, but it's just being in this environment, particularly in Oxford, that's so important. The other thing is, and I think other businesses might have noticed or might start to notice, is China seems to be retrenching. There are less and less students coming. There are less and less tourists. I read between the lines, having been involved in British politics and the government, my view is they've got from the West what they want, and they're now going to close the doors and everything will be in China. They've recently, I think about a month ago, they sent a directive out, the president, about education. They want students in state education, not private education in China. So a lot of the independent schools that are set up in China, albeit as franchises or whatever, are very worried. We think, that's it, they're going to be gone. They're just going to be asked to leave. Yeah.
It's quite an explosion of as you say, schools in China over the past few years, hasn't there?
Yes. In fact, a couple of years ago, we were approached to try and set up out there as well. But it is worrying, and the local news in China is quite worrying. I know one or two heads of schools who got franchises out there, and I think over the next couple of years, they're not going to exist. It's all going to be state education.
But closer to home, you've had some good news recently with approval on planning permission for more units.
Yes, yeah. We've got at the moment 56 rooms. We've now got planning for another 28, and we've also got the land next door, which we'll go for planning at a later date. So that's quite good. So that was all built in our strategy a couple of years ago, with the numbers increasing so that the accommodation will be full with 50, and we are nearly there, then bang, you get hit. I mean, everyone's been the same, and I have greatest sympathies for restaurants, hotels, and airlines. It's crazy. I just think if we go back a year ago, and I think you and I probably had a conversation, everyone said, "Oh, next summer will be fine." We've gone through this summer and it's not fine.
I think people were saying September last year would be fine. It's certainly gone a lot longer.
In his buffoon manner, said all by Christmas. Yeah, and we're still here. It's still the same. And you've now got places like Australia. I've got my best friends in Australia. He's in Melbourne. He's in another lockdown.
Yeah.
Over 1 or 2 cases. They can't get rid of it. New Zealand's now doing the same. Is it ever going to change? Is it going to get much better over the next year? We don't know.
No.
I think in the end, I think complacency will set in, and then people will just say, "I'm getting on with it."
Yeah, I think that's happening already, Stephen. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, wearing another hat, you're obviously on one of the OxLEP sub boards.
Yeah.
You've got a concern about youth unemployment.
Yes, I mean, it's come out over the last few months at meetings we're having, and also with the data, is youth unemployment was always the highest Oxford was always good before COVID. It was virtually full employment. And then when COVID hit, people, battled through with the furlough scheme. And I think, when that finishes the end of October, that's going to have another dramatic effect. There's going to be more people made redundant. But the big problem is at the moment, businesses who are opening up again are recruiting, but they're tending to take experienced people because it's easier. You don't have to train them or put people in. By training people, you actually lose another member of staff at times, don't you? So mentoring or whatever. But these young people need to get into employment. If we don't get them into employment over the next few years, 2 or 3 years, they'll end up being unemployed for their life. And that's quite
a lost generation, isn't there?
Yeah. And we can't they've lost out on education.
Yeah.
We're now going to lose them in the employment sector. That's tragic. So I think businesses, all our businesses, we need to be looking at somehow employing young people, youth. It will just help the whole of Oxfordshire. And
obviously there's plenty of programs out there that we're all familiar with, Kickstart, etc. But if anybody would like to get in contact with you, we've got the details.
Just get in touch. Try and do things through OxLEP to put you in touch with people. There's lots of forums going on now to try and help, and with schools. I mean, I'm a great believer and always have been, which is one of the reasons I got involved with education the last 20 years, is that businesses should have more influence in education. And maybe with COVID, we can start influencing the government, the Department of Education. We educate students for what? It's go into the workplace. 90%. Okay, there's vocational and there's arts, but it's still into the workplace. So why aren't businesses involved in teaching? It should be part of the curriculum. These kids or young adults leave school at 16 to 18 and they've got no idea what's going on in the outside world. And it's a big shock when they leave education and go to work. Whereas if they were guided through from the age of 13 and businesses say, once or twice a week came in, did talks, showed them about opportunities, and then they think, well, actually, I can go and talk to somebody. Or the business can say, if you're interested in working for our company, let's set up now. So over the next 2 or 3 years, you're understanding what we're doing. And the world's changing so fast. And with COVID, it's changed it dramatically into more of the digital age. So we just need businesses to get involved in schools and education to let these youngsters know what they can do. And businesses will change because they get students who are more savvy. And it's
to the converted, Stephen. I'm 100% on all of this, and it's certainly it's a huge issue to try and overcome. But we've all got to try and work at it to give. There's some very talented students out there the opportunities. All students should be given the opportunity, obviously.
One of the key things, about 5 years ago, we had the University of Humanities in London came up and did a talk to our students. And one of the professors said there, which was very interesting, he said, you're now 17, 18. He said, when you leave education in 3 years' time, you'll be going to a job that you can't even think of now. And you think of 10 years ago, Facebook, Google, Amazon, they're the biggest companies in the world. Yet they didn't exist.
Scary.
It is scary. So what's next? You've got the robotics. I was talking to a neurosurgeon during the holiday, and they're starting to use robotics for I know for spinal they do, but even for brain, it's a bit different. He said, but you can do it remotely. It's amazing, absolutely amazing what can be done. So we've got to get the youngsters who are far brighter than some of us and we'll have a quicker take up of what businesses are trying to do, so they can help businesses.
Oxford leads in lots of areas, doesn't it? And this is what an area that it should probably take by the scruff of the neck and push forward. So, but good to see, Stephen. Exactly. And I'm sure plenty of members watching this will be engaged by what you've got to say, and we'll get in contact with you. So maybe we should make this a topic of a B4 webinar at some point.
Yeah, I think good idea. Good idea.
Brilliant. Good to see you, Stephen. Take care.